Hello and welcome back to my channel, Checks, Captures, Threats. And in today's episode, in episode 19, we'll be going over coming out of the opening. So, we have 4 examples, again today, of 4 openings. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the openings and we're going to have plans for the middle game. That's what we're going to go through today, just understanding that we have a plan. Okay, so we've got the 4 openings today. Are a lot like the ones before. So we've got Queen's Gambit, Italian, French defence, and Nimzo Indian. So hopefully today you can understand what plans we can have in these openings. This will help for 2 reasons. There'll be similarities with each one, ideas of how to attack out the opening, and also it will help for theory as well, technically, with these openings that I can give you. So here's the first one, Queen's Gambit. What we're going to do is just play the first load of moves. So here is, we'll do the declined variation, as this will be the most seen one. All these moves will have been played before many a times. You'll see this happen a lot. So, and I'm going to say, let's just play one more move for black. Okay. I would say that's the opening. Maybe that rook move for black was the first move into the middle game. But here is quite at least for white, is the most normal position here. Now, what you will see a lot is this queen and bishop. This is kind of one of the focal points of where you want to attack. You know, you've got this pawn incoming, you know, you've got everything there. You've also got to remember, now this is a way to think of what side to attack with your pawns at least, is looking at the pawn structure. All these pawns are going diagonal to the left, which therefore means that we could attack queen side with our pawns as they're going that way already. So that would help us there. What we can also see is with the Queen's Gambit, we can also put stuff like with our rooks here, centralise them, or even on one of these 3 squares. But also the main reason I want this is because later on in the game, in the middle game, you really want to try and push e4. You always want the pawn break again. We've already got one here with c4, but if we can get one with e4, then that's twice as good, and that's another attacker onto this. So what we can see here is we can use every piece here is doing something in the Queen's Gambit, which gives us many more ideas and plans. So you can see this position, you can save this position, take a picture or whatever, and then what you want to do is maybe come up with the ideas of for your own, if you ever get something like this, at least for white structure. You know, this is quite a known structure here, at least with these pawns. So there's that. Okay, next one will be the Italian game. So this is for all you e4 players here. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop c4. So what this does already here, firstly, we're just going to go here. We're looking at this point here with this knight. If for any point they do this, there is obviously this risk, but there is that. So just going to play a few more moves. This is part of the Italian here. So I'm just going to get all of this going. Right. And I would say probably about here we could say this is now starting the middle game. Just about. Maybe the queen can move and anything else. So white and black have many ideas here, in the fact that there's a pin here already on the knight. You know, this black queen's kind of stuck now because nothing else can defend this, and if this pawn moves, obviously, then you've got this, and it's a huge opening, which is not good. So that's something that white will now have to work towards, to protect, maybe. Now, that's why you can think about what to do next, because again, we could see a d4 push here that might be reasonable soon, because then this could bring the bishop all the way back. So it's just coming up with ideas what you can do to solve problems, really. Now, another idea is this bishop's very active, so we could also try and create pins here. This square as well for white looks quite prominent for them. And again, looking at the pawn structure, as we can see here, they're all lining up this king side. So maybe getting all your pieces to attack that side is crucial. But as we see here, it's a 3 pawn versus 3 pawn right there. So quite an even position here, quite symmetrical in its face as well. But again, many ideas here. Centralising the rooks as well is another key idea. But yeah, I mean, that's all you got to see. I mean, the opening here, it's just what we got to do is make sure we can get out of it as even as possible, and then we can create ideas. If you play an opening and you don't know the idea of it later on, you're going to struggle. So as long as I'm giving you this, they're probably not the main ideas in the Italian or so, because I may not play the Italian and it's not the thing. But as long as I'm giving you ideas of how this will be, then it's, ideas that you might be able to taste. Maybe one more idea that you knew in the Italian. So there's that. Okay. Now that's all the faces from white. Now for the black openings. French defence. We've gone over this, so obviously now this I'm going to show. We'll go through two for this one. So we'll do the advanced first. So obviously c5, and now there is a few ideas here. We'll do this way. Okay. So I'm going to actually bring this bishop up first. Okay, and let's just play that. Okay, so again, this is something that you'll see a lot. Now this knight we went through how it goes over here because it's got that move. Now many ideas for white and black. Obviously we've got this huge structure here with this eyeing down this pawn. Again, same thing like the Queen's Gambit. A very good pawn structure for white. Obviously looking at the king side. And looking at the queen side for black here with these pawns, we've got a pawn break for black, so that's quite good here. But also stuff like this queen's now out, 2 on this here against the 2 here, so you've just got to be careful about that. And we've got protection of our king, both sides have, so it's a very good position. Both teams can centralise their rooks, get into where they need. I think what white might need to be careful of is his pawn. But he has stuff like bringing the knight over here. Not yet, but he does. So, hopefully you understand that that's the advanced variation. Now the other one we'll go over is the exchanged. So it's quite a symmetrical position. And then it just moves like this. Let's go actually. Okay, let's just say that. Now again, it's quite symmetrical in the fact that these knights are in probably the most same position. This bishop is, most of them are. That's what you should really do as black, and then the French exchanged. But what we can see here is we've got 2 nice bishops. Maybe this bishop a little bit worse because of these 2 pawns, but that's not the worst. And also, I think there's a lot more you can do with these knights now as well for both sides. I think there is also a pawn push of c5, like normal in the French. And just got to be wary of this pin for black. And black can create pins as well whenever he needs. Okay. Last opening for today will be the Nimzo Indian. So remembering what we did last time. So we'll go over it now. Again, you'll see a lot of similarities here as well when doing them. Okay, so another middle game now. Now, as we can see for white, it's quite similar to a Queen's Gambit. The only issue is remembering this pawn structure. I'll try and see if you can look at it with this. You've got 3 diagonal pawns, then that, which is the exact same here, but just this is double pawns. So when playing the Nimzo, just as white, you will have the same ideas. Maybe this pawn is like this, that's all. But you still have the same ideas, getting the queen to c2, for example. And it's black, obviously we've Frenchettoed this bishop now. So we're eyeing up this king a lot, even though with the pawn structure, maybe this pawn structure is not so true because of the attack going on right now, in the fact that, after a few moves, there's not really a pawn structure there. So don't have to listen to that, for example. The Queen's a little bit boxed in again, obviously, because the pin, and, you know, but there is stuff like this C5 pawn break again. So, that would be all for today. Hopefully you understand that this episode was just trying to show you that when you come out for an opening, as you see, I came up with many plans for each side most of the time there. You've just got to try and make sure you come out the opening with ideas. If you don't, most of the time you will struggle, you'll be on the back end of it. So hopefully you understand that having a plan is necessary. So that is all for today. So thank you and bye bye.